the podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
And good afternoon, and welcome to Tech Talk on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com and Fox 34 News Now with Brennan, Clint. I am Chuck, and we are today the Tech Talk version of Tech Talk on Double T 97.3. So look forward to hearing from you throughout the afternoon. We're here until 6, and then the Rangers will take over a little bit later on tonight. We'll have high school football coverage on Oldies 97.7 and on Lubbock's on 100.7 The Score. That's at 6:30. They'll have Lubbock, Cooper, and Coronado as well from the Pirates Place, the Cooper broadcast. As we come to you this afternoon from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studio, take your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Benchmark hotline is open as well at 806-771-0973. Clint, how you be?
Man, I'm good. We made it to Friday. We got to another one, Chuck.
Right. Derek says right away, first one in for Tech Talk this afternoon. Happy Friday.
Yeah, it's a happy Friday.
Happy
indeed.
Friday. Yeah. I hope we're happy 24 hours from now when I should be pretty close to sitting here for the Double T 97.3 Coors Light postgame show. I'm the fill-in guy for Dickens today. You're playing the role of Mike Gustafson.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow I'll play the role of Garrett Luft.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully you are an even happier Chuck tomorrow. I told Jamie, if you are a very, very happy Chuck tomorrow, you might hear a very happy Clint calling in under different pseudonames talking about. how bad the
You can just call in during your regular name and provide all the analysis that your little heart content can bring us. Especially should the Red Raiders win tomorrow in Manhattan. Our Optimum Game Day Live coverage begins at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning with the Saturday morning quarterback. Garrett Luft will be here for that, along with Andres Flores. They'll recap all the high school stuff for you from tonight. And then we'll get you ready for Texas Tech and Kansas State as the Red Raiders are en route to the Little Apple there in Manhattan. And we'll have it for you. Tomorrow the kick is at 11 against KSU. They specifically state on their media notes that they are not to be referred to as KSU. So anything that we can do to irritate them.
Did they really?
Yeah, I think that's right. I seem to remember that from my basketball notes. We are.
It's kind of silly.
They do, though. We are K-State. We are Kansas State. We are not KSU.
So now that I know that, KSU. Forever.
Yeah, forever.
Forever.
Yeah. Let's see here. If a happy Chuck sees the shadow of their smile tomorrow, do we have a good chance at a bowl game? Oh, my goodness, yes. A victory tomorrow? Absolutely. Absolutely puts you in a great, great spot.
Yeah, if there's any way, I mean, the preferred destination between the next two games, of course, is 5-1, because that means you won both of them. But if you're sitting in any situation at 4-2, especially with what you were looking at when you started this all the way back with Houston, you are ecstatic. And yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about preseason record predictions. You know, where are you at this point in the season? I mean, everyone should start to jump up at that point. It just should.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and here's the deal. If you said to me right now, you got a split, and your split is winning at K-State and losing at Oklahoma State, sign me up.
And it's going to, Chuck, I tell you what, it's going to be a very interesting weekend in the Big 12. Probably maybe label it for me a learning weekend when you look at all of the matchups. Because you still don't know what you have with Oklahoma State either. And I know this is looking a couple weeks in advance, but that's the bookend to how many times we've said, oh, it's a tough part of the schedule, tough part of the schedule, tough part of the schedule. Because it's true, and you're right in the thick of it. But you don't really know what you have with Oklahoma State. They're going to Waco to take on Baylor.
Yep.
And then Oklahoma, I mean, they just got whooped on by these same Wildcats. They're going to TCU. TCU, another one of the three teams in the conference that's still undefeated. I mean, I'll go ahead and give you my early prediction for that, though. I think the Sooners bounce back and roll.
Yes, I do too.
But you're gonna start to learn what the expected, I guess, placement and order is of a very muddled conference in the Big 12.
But I think a muddled conference is good news for Texas Tech because and probably the other schools as well, because that means you don't have a dominant Texas or a dominant, especially Oklahoma of recent years. At least it appears as of right now that they're not dominant. So you don't really have that one team that's like, okay, we're playing for second place here.
Yeah, and I'm not one like, oh man, we got to have somebody from the Big 12 in the playoffs. Or I'm not wired that way.
Me neither.
And if you are, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you are, the outlook for the Big 12 does not look good to make it to that. But as far as a Texas Tech standpoint, yeah, that's great because it's competitive. And while I think you have stepped up and maybe a little bit more, I didn't think you would be bad, but so far you've stepped up more, especially on the defensive side of where I thought you'd be. The top of the conference seems like it has weakened a little bit. And overall, I mean, to me, on the field, it's the second strongest conference behind the SEC right now. And it's been good for Texas Tech, though, to your point, because you don't, and you can say that as well for TCU. You can say that for Iowa State. I think you could say that for Kansas State, that there's not going to be one or maybe even two that are just running away, and you know that they are predestined to meet in Dallas when the season's all said and done.
Yeah, because right now I don't think you know.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think you know. Let me give you a number. This is a conversation starter for tomorrow's brunch with the Wildcats and the Red Raiders. Here is a number for you. 99.8. That's the number of rushing yards allowed per game by Texas Tech through 4 contests. Tech has given up just 399 rushing yards so far. It's the second lowest total through 4 games since 2000. Why is that important? That's important because K-State averages 248 yards of rushing per game.
Yeah, and the only time that they've been held under 200 this year in 4 tries was in a loss. And I think you look at that very head-scratching. It's crazy that you're facing a team that has, to me, the worst loss by far in the conference, but also the best win. Like, it's such a Kansas State move to be so confused with what you have there in the team from Manhattan.
It's just so typical because that's what they do.
Yeah.
They always lose a game. They always lose a game they shouldn't in non-conference or in conference, and then they always play Oklahoma tough. I mean, look what's happened the last 6 times. They've won 4 of them. Okay?
Yeah.
They've won 4 of them. So that's what we have to kind of dissect today. We'll get way into this ball game, get into the weeds as much as we can, pick Clint's brain and yours as well if you want to weigh in with your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Let's see here. We get this. I'm going to take this at full face value. My 2 favorite broadcasters, Chuck and Clint, Spite Raider. And then we get this from, I thought he was our friend Bullfighter. What is this? 97.3 The Blue Chicken. What is going on? We are Tech. We are Texas Tech. And we are TTU because, honestly, who cares? I think Texas Tech and TTU and KSU both win and lose crazy games they shouldn't each year. I think there's probably some fairness to that with regard to Tech as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you put in the games for the Red Raiders, looking at, boy, you shouldn't have lost that game, a lot of times it's been the Kansas State Wildcats.
No doubt. And you look at last year where you didn't score a point in the second half, and the only thing that was surprising after the outcome of that game was that Matt Wells wasn't fired Saturday night or Sunday, but was fired on Monday. I mean, that to me was the craziest thing, is that it took till Monday. And maybe there was some, accounting that had to take place and, rallying up of dollars or things along those lines, tying up the loose ends. We'll get into that just a little bit as well this afternoon here on Tech Talk on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Nice to have you with us.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
3:15 this afternoon on the program we call Tech Talk. The red carpet treatment has been given to Clint and I today. We've been given the rider that Dickens and Gus get, so that includes the complimentary juices, charcuterie board, warm, nice, hot piping pizza, wings, fried cheese as well. So we are We are living the high life, the major
Will make
league
you
life.
think about pepperoni pizzas, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's
We're
weird,
living the high life that is Tech Talk life here today. Sweet
I
life.
usually hand those out, actually, so it's been nice to be on this side making Brennan do it today.
All right, the juice. What you got?
All right, we will start with what we have on the airwaves tonight. Again, you have, for high school football, Lubbock Cooper hosts the Coronado Mustangs. Lubbock Cooper's coming off of a bye week. Before that, they were beating the Ryder Raiders. For Coronado and DJ Mann over there, season has not gone quite as they wanted it to so far on a 4-game losing streak after starting off the year beating Friendship.
I'm predicting a win tonight for the Coronados.
I think I'm going to take Cooper. I think it's going to be tough. Cooper coming off a bye week, a little of expectation.
I know. But they're going to look. They're going to look past the Mustangs tonight.
You'll hear dual broadcast, both of us here for tonight. If Chuck is right, you'll hear the winning broadcast on Oldies 97.7
Yes.
with Coronado at 6:45. If I'm correct, you will hear the winning broadcast at 6:30 on 100.7 The Score. And after all that is said and done, if you want to get some scores from around the area, we'll have Friday Night Live on 100.7 The Score tonight at 10 o'clock.
I might also add that you can go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app, presented by Happy State Bank. Throughout the evening this evening, if you and your lucky lady or significant other, maybe your happy hubby, you're out on a date or going to a movie or you're out at the fair or whatnot, and you want to check out a score, you can go to the High School Fan Zone page and in progress get in progress scores. Did you know that?
I actually did not.
Okay.
I'm learning something from our own station.
So there you go. So we don't do a great job of communicating, but you know, I'm communicating that to you. So that way, if you need a score, you can kind of check that out, and it's pretty cool. You can say, oh, this is going on, this is going on. No Monterey tonight, no Lubbock High tonight, and then Estacado is having its homecoming tonight against Sweetwater.
Which that's actually great for me because I do need that when I'm doing some of the other games. I will be doing that homecoming game tonight. Chuck, I'm 0-5 in LISD this year so far. I'll try to change that. Right here on Double T 97.3 at 8 o'clock, the Texas Rangers, their season slowly, maybe not so slowly to some, coming to a close. They'll start a series on the road against the Los Angeles Angels tonight. We'll go, of course, tomorrow. Biggest headline will be the Red Raiders taking on the number 25th ranked Kansas State Wildcats. Have Optimum Game Day Live. That'll start out at 7 o'clock. It'll carry you all the way through the Double T 97.3 Coors Light post-game show. And that'll be with you again. Hopefully a very, very, very happy Chuck Hines when all of that is said and done in the afternoon.
Be nice. Be 4-1.
Red Raider
expectations.
Red Raider volleyball, they'll be in action on Sunday as well, and it is a big one. The Red Raiders are 2-0 so far in conference play, but they have the number 1 overall Texas Longhorns coming to town. Again, that'll be on Sunday, a 2 o'clock start. Wife and I will be over there.
Really?
So if you're out there, come say hi to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does she go by, Mrs. Viking, or do you just have
Mrs. Viking, Mrs. Bloodbeard, all of those. She doesn't actually get called Mrs. Scott.
Okay.
Maybe the one that's embarrassed. She gets called that a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, the one hiding her face in shame. All of those.
Okay.
Come say hi to us. We'll be out there. Hopefully the Red Raiders will advance to 3-0 in conference play. A tall task, though, with the Longhorns.
Right.
They are, to say the least, very good.
Stout, right?
Stout. Women's soccer for the Red Raiders last night in Stillwater ended that game in a 1-1 draw. Still looking for their first conference win of the season. They moved to 4-3-5 overall and 0-1-2. Had a draw with West Virginia to start off conference play. 0-1-2 in conference play so far. And finally, Chuck, last night there was some NFL action going on.
Right.
We had it on 100.7 The Score. If you heard it, you heard the Bengals beat the Dolphins 27-15. But the biggest headline coming out of there was not that the Dolphins got their first loss of the season. It's that Tua got taken out of the second game in a row this time very, very serious with a head and neck injury. He's responsive. Believe he flew back with the team. But that is kind of a joke of a situation, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they said that he was cleared. They said that his problem against the Bills on Sunday was a back issue. That he was fine. He didn't look fine. Obviously, didn't look good. I mean, it was awful look. It was scary seeing his fingers all gnarled up like they were. I told Jamie this morning that the thing that it wasn't the same as when Patrick Mahomes got knocked out against Texas, but to me it was just as scary because Patrick got up and he was wobbly all over the place. I mean, I've never seen a player that wobbly after a concussion as what we saw with him. All right, that is the juice this afternoon here on Tech Talk. All right, some thoughts here from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We get this. Wait, what? From Oil Raider. Are we trapped in a Kansas Twilight Zone episode? Did someone pay off Papa Lint? You know, the scariest Twilight Zone with Rod Sterling was the airplane one. Have you ever seen the airplane one?
No.
The man on the wing?
I don't have much Twilight Zone in my repertoire.
Well, and it generally was in black and white, but the man on the wing and the passenger sitting in the plane that for that episode was none other than William Shatner.
Oh.
How about that?
Is that where the there's something on the wing?
Well, he looks out, and you know, you have the whole Twilight Zone. You know, I can't give you the whole spiel. But the airplane episode was quite scary and would give you nightmares.
Is that something? Because, you know, we actually talked about this a little bit yesterday with Gus, and he was like, you know, there's some stuff that is older. Like, I have been meaning, and I know I'm not saying this is in the same vein.
No.
But I still have yet to see Brian's Song, and it's been on my list for a long time. And I know that's an older one that I need to go back and watch. The Twilight Zone, like the older episodes, is that one like, oh man, it still holds up?
I think it still holds up. It wouldn't be like on my kind of, you know, must see kind of things because it's a little before me. Here we go. Let me see if I can do it for you. You're traveling through another dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind, a journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. That's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone. How about that?
That's good.
How about that? Rod Serling was the narrator, and he was also the host of that. Again,
limited reference on that, but Chuck, I think you nailed it. From what I know, you sounded exactly like it. I have been brought into the Twilight Zone.
His famous line, fantasy is the impossible made probable. Science fiction is the improbable made possible. He was a weird dude. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line from my friend Jerry. Guess no more pregame talks at Lubbock Cooper now because I picked Coronado. Well, I did a pregame talk a number of years ago and it didn't work. I'm 0-1 pregame talks.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What'd you tell them? Were they not ready to run through a wall for you?
Apparently not. I spoke at their. It was before a big game, and I spoke at their Friday night meal or Thursday night meal, and I obviously was a failure. This Chuck just ignores friendship. Friendship is idle tonight as well. My apologies to the Tigers. They'll be in action next week. Okay. Tyler says this. He'll use the high school scores in the app as part of his conversation starters for tonight's party.
All right.
Paul wants to know what's on the grill this weekend. Have not decided yet. There's a couple things that I would like to do. This Chuck doesn't speak Ace Ventura references. I can. That Twilight Zone episode still freaks me out. That from Rachel.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Coming up at 4, back to Texas Tech football as the Red Raiders are on the road tomorrow in Manhattan to take on Kansas State. At 3:45, back to more of the juice, right?
3:45. We'll see what makes today special.
What makes today special? Okay, what makes today special? I would tell you that what makes today special is Clint and myself and Brennan all here on a Friday afternoon.
Absolutely.
That's what makes today special. This from Lindale Jeff. I'm so happy to get bonus Chuck and Viking. I wish you two would pair up more, with the exception of KU week. That was a proper sports talk segment. What I needed on a Friday. I hate that our game is on ESPN Plus. I've got my young phenom soccer at 9:30, and I can't record on the DVR when it's streaming video. Lindale Jeff. I am so sorry, sir. Blame Kansas State for the 11 a.m. kickoff. It was their choice as to the time because the big boy TVs did not want this game, and so ESPN Plus gets it. And so basically K-State could have played this game at 11 or 2:30 or 6 or 7 or whatever they wanted to play it at, and they chose 11 o'clock in the morning. And for Chris Kleiman, he did it because he likes to get up and get going, but he also likes his players to have a free Saturday night in Manhattan.
Woo.
Yeah.
Hopefully that free night in Manhattan is a sour one.
I hope so too, that they won't be wanting to go out. That might be a problem for them. John had weighed in when I talked about the last time that we played K-State, which was last year, October the 23rd, and we lost. And you could have. There was so much about that game. So last year, you get out to the big lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
You lead at the half. You win the game, you become bowl eligible. Remember?
Right.
You win the game, you become bowl eligible. But instead, you don't score any points in the second half. K-State wins the game. And I got to be honest, after the game, as we sat there in the Spike Dykes meeting room waiting for Matt Wells to come in to address the media, it took a while. And I turned to some of the guys that were there, and I said, I think we're getting ready to see a coaching change. And they said, when? I go, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Would not have surprised me at all if Kirby had come in there and said, Matt Wells won't be coming to the postgame press conference. We've decided to make a coaching change. We've just met with the team. We'll have an interim coach. We'll have that announcement for you tomorrow. Thank you and good night. It would not have surprised me at all. Tech lost 25-24 in front of 52,874. I will say, I've left that stadium happy. I've left that stadium mad. I've left that stadium sullen. I have never left that stadium where you could hear a pin drop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People weren't even, they weren't even mad. They were mad, but they weren't even like cussing mad. They were just like, I can't believe what I just saw. Kind of Jack Buckish type of thing in a bad way.
Yeah, you look at that game last year, and it was the battle of the hot seats. Because going into that game, you had Chris Kleiman. That was his, to me, it should be worded as infamous, as he's crying to the media. They hadn't won a conference game in eight straight tries. They had beaten Kansas the season before, and then since then they hadn't even sniffed a Big 12 opponent. And they were coming in there, I believe at that point, on a 3-game losing skid, all 3 again conference games. And then Chris Kleiman was going to the media saying, hey guys, come on, I don't know if we all rally together, if we just show a little positivity, yeah, we can get through this. You know we're a good team. You know the guys, like, that's not the media's job. He's having people that it is paid to critique them, and was critiquing them correctly. He was, to me, whining to the media. And so you're going, well, here's a Kansas State team who's 3-3, and their coach is on the hot seat. You're 5-2, your coach is on the hot seat. And I don't know if you end up winning that game, if Kleiman is gone just yet, but he was certainly on his way.
I was told by one person who was at an event where I believe the K-State athletic director was there, who left early because he was having a conversation with someone, whether it was informal or formal, about their coaching job. So take that for what it's worth. Okay? Well, take that for what it's worth. We get this from Raiders Dad. Local Lubbock treasurer Clint, Treasure, and Missouri treasurer Chuck, Trayzure. I don't think that's a compliment.
I believe that was
treasure.
the accent of treasure.
Okay.
It's the blood beard way of saying treasure. Like,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Oh, I was thinking it was the accent of treasure. Mr.
Okay.
Beauregard, you shouldn't have.
Okay, I'm not really familiar with that. We don't generally fare well with the 11 a.m. games at home because we've come out and laid eggs and been very flat. Crowd's been flat. Team's been flat. I hope that's not the case. So anyway, I was just surprised. And then I was told on Sunday after that K-State game that it was going to happen, that it had already happened, it was getting ready to happen. Mm-hmm. And then Matt Wells had his Sunday Zoom press conference, which was normal for him. He either, like if they were on the road, he met with the media, much like Coach Kingsbury did on Sunday night. I really kind of enjoyed those. It interrupted my Sunday night, but I enjoyed those because they were informal and they were more kind of in a group setting as opposed to in the meeting room. You'd meet on the practice field or in the indoor. Because I was there the night that Coach Kingsbury was asked about Kyler Murray. He said, yeah, if I had the number 1 draft pick, I'd pick him. Mm-hmm. And then he gets canned by us, hired by Arizona. They end up with the number 1 draft pick, and voila, ta-da! With the first pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray.
Trace back the steps.
I
was there. I knew it was going to happen. That's what I was going to say.
Well, I didn't know. I mean, I was just there. I didn't ask the question, but I was there, and I just kind of went, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Robert wants to know how many hungover fans will there be at that 11 a.m. time. I don't know. If you go down to – my guess is if you go down to Aggieville tonight, my brother, who's a K-State grad, and his kids are all K-Staters, his daughter's in a sorority there, and it's Dad's weekend. So I'm sure my brother will be throwing down some suds. So he might be feeling it a little bit tomorrow morning. He does not look like me. He's the good-looking one. He's the athletic one. He's tall. He can hit a golf ball really, really well. Me and my other brother, we both look alike. In fact, me and my brother-in-law actually look alike. Mm-hmm. My other brother came, I guess, from somebody else. I don't know, because he was always tall and good-looking.
I'm going to go ahead and claim that from my family.
The tall and good-looking one?
Because my sisters aren't tall.
Okay.
And they're not here to fight me on it. It is weird. I mean, my family, pretty short.
I think this game tomorrow will be a bare-knuckle brawl. I hope so. I think Kansas State will score 24 points, but on the other hand, I think Texas Tech will score 24, and this game will end in a tie. It can't. It could in regulation end in a tie, and then we go to overtime.
Boy, if you get to another overtime this early in the season, cardiac kids, let's go ahead and label you that. I don't know if I can handle the stress. The other one, but I do agree with the bare-knuckle brawl part. I think a lot, and I'm not saying that there isn't something to it, but you've seen a spike, I think, of concern for Adrian Martinez, and what he did in Norman was certainly impressive. But if you trace back to what his career has been, that was by far and large his most complete, best game, most effective game, whatever you want to label it, since he's been playing since 2018, going to Nebraska. And anytime he has had a good game, if you go back, he hasn't followed it up with another, at least somewhat impressive performance.
Mm-hmm. He's not stacked success. Oh, wait, that was the other coach.
and so I'm not saying that, there isn't something there, and he could have 2 back-to-back good games, but I'm far more concerned with Kansas State's special teams and the guy he's going to be handing it off to and throwing it to most times in short situations, and that's Deuce Vaughn.
This from Raiders Dad. I typed out the way a normal person says treasure and then typed out the way Chuck says it. It's all love, Chuck. I always enjoy your shows and content. Oh, thank you, Raiders Dad.
You say treasure?
Treasure. I guess I do. So Clint is the tall, good-looking one in his family. That's a question mark. Whew.
Well, to be fair, like I said, no one else in my family is here to defend themselves and say that I'm lying. That's probably true. That doesn't speak very well of my family.
How long has it been since you've shaved your beard and gone just clean-shaven?
Oh, just clean-shaven? It's been 2 years probably. And that was only because of a razor accident.
If Tech were to get to 8 wins in the regular season, would you shave that beard?
No.
10 wins?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's not on the line. Sorry.
It's not on the line.
It's not on the line.
It's not on the line. I would love to see the Tech running back steal the show. Which one?
Well, I said this the other day. I would love to see just a fully dominant performance from Taj Brooks, and that's not saying anything against Sir Roderick Thompson. He had a great game against Texas, but you still haven't seen that takeover game. Part of that's been because of the offensive line. But I would love to see that too. I'd love to see a $120, couple touchdowns on the board for Brooks. Him pointing at his wrist a couple times. Sign me up.
My tiebreaker on Upon Further Review was Sir Roderick with 122.
It's every Red Raiders' favorite podcast. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
He's Clint Scott. He's in for Mike Gustafson, Dr. Mike Gustafson. Brennan is in for Clint Scott, right?
Yes. Do I get to go by Dr. Clint Scott since I'm in for
Sure,
a doctor?
sure.
Because they
Dr.
only
Clint.
let doctors fill in for doctors, right?
Right.
They wouldn't let the doctor's out, so we let in a lawyer.
I don't know what that says about AD, but I'm in for him.
Means you got to talk a lot more Star Trek. We haven't got into
Oh,
enough.
man. I did bring up William Shatner.
That's true.
I did, so I feel
That's
like
true.
I
Check.
feel like we've checked that off the box. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line as we come to you from the First United Bank Double T 97.3 studio. Not smoking a brisket, but going to grill a nice T-bone, and it looks like it's well seasoned, and it looks like it's nice and thick, and it looks like it's proceeding nicely. So
Looks like some good marbling on that.
Good for you. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Do you guys know a website to find Texas high school football stats other than Max Prep? Try Hub City Sports.
Yeah, I go Hub City Prep. They have some good stuff. I think sometimes they have stuff on Dave Campbell, depending on the week. I don't really go there, but yeah, that's where I go.
Red Raiders take on Kansas State tomorrow. Our Optimum Game Day Live coverage presented by United Supermarkets begins at 7 a.m. The kick is at 11 a.m. from Bill Snyder Family Stadium. They're on the campus of Kansas State University, adjacent to Bramlage Coliseum, just to the north. It's a north-south stadium. Wind could come into a factor. It does get windy on the high plains up there. Does kind of create some havoc. I've got I think a fascinating stat for you with regard to special teams. I'll get to it in just a second. The Red Raiders have lost 6 straight to Kansas State. Last winning on November the 14th of 2015, 59-44. That was here in Lubbock. Last time you won in Manhattan, October 4th, 2008. So almost 14 years ago to the day. Winning that day 58-28. That was in the midst of a 5-game win streak for Tech. Since then, you've lost 10 of 11. Okay? With the one win being back in 2015. All right? The other key factors that I look at when thinking about, how this game's going to go. Texas Tech all-time on October 1st is on a 2-game win streak after a 2-game lose streak, after a 2-game win streak, after a 2-game lose streak, after a 4-game win streak. Okay? So you've won the last 2 after losing 2, after winning 2, after losing 2, after winning 4. All right? Does not bode well for us.
Okay.
Does not bode well for us.
Just crossing my eyes a little bit there, I'll be honest.
Last time you played on October 1st was against Kansas there in Lawrence, winning 45-34. Won here at home in 2005, 30-17. Lost to at number 10 A&M on October 4th, 1994, 23-17. Excuse me, on October 1st. And then lost at A&M in 1988, 50-15. So if you want to keep that in mind. The other all-important stat to watch for Clint is the uniform watch. I give these numbers usually to Jamie. Okay. I didn't give them to him this morning. I feel like he's missed out a bit on some of his statistics.
He's probably out there listening, right?
Sure. He's waiting for it. Texas Tech will wear white hats, white tops, white trousers tomorrow. And when you're white, and white, 11-6. I like that.
Bodes well.
I like that. Yeah.
How much do you lean into that actual record? Do you buy into the numbers?
Oh yeah, all of those, all of those numbers are really. I'm really scared about the 4-game win streak, 2-game losing streak, 2-game win streak, 2-game losing streak, 2-game win streak. I'm frantic now that I looked that up.
Shaking in your boots currently.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm cooking up a couple of nice T-bones too, minus the bone and New York strip. So he's got a ribeye going. Clint, how do you like your steak cooked? I like mine medium. I don't like it bloody. I don't just Just a thin pink line for me.
Medium rare for me.
Okay.
I can, and if it's
bloodier the better.
If it's close to rare, I'm not going to send it back. I don't mind it. They call me a bloodbeard for a reason, right?
Okay.
It's not because I have red hair. It's because stuff gets caught in there. So if I eat something bloody, it's going to find its way down there.
This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. A little prediction here: Texas Tech 38, Kansas State 35 with 2 cacti. I was talking with somebody the other day, and they think by the way, we're missing a cactus.
No, no.
Oh, is it over there with you?
Yeah,
okay.
He's hiding.
On your side. She thought that our cactus was growing.
Growing?
Yeah.
Which one?
I think
one
the
with
main.
the hat, the fancy one?
I think the main one. Yeah.
The main one? Fancy cactus?
Fancy cactus. She said, "I think your cactus is growing." Of course, this is the same person that told me that she listens to the morning drive, but really only for just a little bit. It's her dog that listens all day. Okay.
Hey, you got to be informed if you're
Right.
a canine too, and
Right.
canines hate cats, so this is
Yeah.
a perfect week for that as well. I get that though. Like a lot of people will leave the TV on for their dogs or stuff,
Yeah.
so they don't.
I mean, you've got
bark or anything like
you
that.
got a cadre of dogs at your place. Do you leave the radio on for your dogs?
No, our both of our dogs just pass out after we leave, and then we get home and they're
Then they're all.
well. One of them's all energy, and the other one just goes back to sleep again.
Yeah.
This is his favorite thing.
Our steak guy's actually cooking fillets. I'm not a fan of the fillet, but you do you. He says medium rare is the only way for steak. Okay, again, you do you.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I never feel like the fillet is a big enough piece of meat for me.
Okay.
I feel cheated on the fillet.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you go to a restaurant and you're like the fancy restaurants where they give you the big, huge monster plate, and then you like have one bite of food and it's $150, and it's like the restaurant to die for that everybody's been trying to get the reservation for, right?
Right.
And you get like the small morsel, this small vegetable, and this small potato, and it's supposed to be the delectable delight, and it's $175 a plate.
So
Thank you very much.
If I open the Viking tapas restaurant, you won't come and indulge?
Viking what?
Tapas. Isn't that what that is? Tapas?
Oh, I don't know.
They come in with like the little small plates
know.
and like, we have the Viking lamb. It's roughly the size of a quarter. One little bite.
I'm not
Get some
interested.
cilantro on top.
Not interested.
Little haggis sauce on the side. That's my haggis puffs. I've been bragging on them forever. When I have the Viking tapas restaurant. There you go, Chuck. You can be the first one to try them.
Let me give you my my stat here.
Okay.
And to me, this is crazy. Would you like to take a wild guess at what K-State's this is through 4 games?
Mm-hmm.
They are 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to take a wild guess at what their punt return average is?
25 yards.
Would you like to take a wild guess what their opponent's is? I think this could be
5.
Opponents is 6.7.
Mm.
K-State's punt return average is 93.
Oh.
93.
Yeah.
They have one punt return on the season for 93 yards. One.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the guy that Coach McGuire mentioned and is somewhat concerned about. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But one punt return. His name is Phillip Brooks.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I say, look, the special teams, and this is something that is not new. When you look at the switch over from Snyder to Kleiman, this has not missed a beat. Kansas State is always so sound in this department, and something that you haven't been sound in. Now you played much better against Texas, but this is something that worries me in the ballgame.
Kick returns. The guy that they're worried about is the guy from Mansfield. Lake Ridge, I believe, is where he went. Malik Knowles, he's returned 3. His kick return average is 33.7. The longest was 58. But K-State has only returned 4 kicks. Mm-hmm. You think about how many kicks we've returned. I'll get you that number here in just a second.
The podcast put together with Red Raider fans in mind. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Coming up, 5 more Red Raider football talk. They take on Kansas State tomorrow. We'll have the game, of course, with Brian Jensen, John Harris, and Chris Level on the sidelines. 4:45 today. It's more of what makes today special besides...
What's good?
Oh, what's good? Oh, what's good and what's special. What's good is Clint and and Brennan and myself here on Tech Talk today. I think that's what's good.
Yeah.
Okay, at least we're trying. Somebody says this. I'm with you, Chuck. The juice isn't worth the squeeze in the return game. Here's the other thing too: is you're not going to have Adrian Fry again tomorrow, and
Sure.
he's possible maybe for Oklahoma State. Although there's a thought. I mean, I kind of wonder if you win tomorrow, do they say to Adrian Fry, "Hey, we'd love to have you, but we need you more as the season goes on because you got the bye week after that," and then have him ready for West Virginia?
Yeah, I certainly think that he's in a situation that, especially in that situation that you laid out, you don't rush him back. If that is the case, if it would be, considered rushing him back for Oklahoma State, I don't know what level he is and how close he is with that as far as actually playing for Oklahoma State, and if it would be playing at Oklahoma State, but it's still dinged up, chance to
It's a knee
make it
and
worse.
a quad problem.
So, I mean, there's the trainers there that I trust, but if it is a rushing him back situation, I don't see the need.
Yeah. This from Racer 26. Glad to have him. Raiders win by 26. Racer 26. See what he did
I
there?
hope so. Do you would you rather see it? Let's say if the Red Raiders won by 26, would you rather see it 26-0, or what?
52 to 26.
I was gonna say 39-13.
No, 26-0.
Yeah, I want to see 26-0.
Yeah, whitewash him.
Give me the shutout.
I want to whitewash them with those white goalposts. They just
There you go.
there you go. Remember that they got the white goalposts there at Bill Snyder Family Stadium,
KSU.
KSU. Right. Henry Teeter will be back. Okay, he was out last week. Got dinged up against North Carolina State. Cameron Valdez will be back. He hasn't played all year.
Yeah, and he's a player that I think you should be excited about. The coaching staff certainly is, as the third string running back, along with the two that you got that are really good for you, very experienced. And you heard a lot about Cameron Valdez. You heard about Nehemiah Martinez. You heard about Brady Boyd. And those were like the three names that stuck out to me that I wasn't expecting to stick out. And so curious as he comes back, does he get some touches? How do they use them?
Right.
All that stuff you'll figure out, because, again, you're still fighting carries between Brooks and Thompson. So, I mean, we'll find out Saturday, but I'm excited to see if they do use him, how they do, and when. Situationally, we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, they certainly utilized the tight end more last week, and that was great to see. And it was great to see Miles Price be more of a factor last week as well. They said he had a great week of practice. And so I just feel like that hopefully that got him pumped up and he's ready to go. Coach McGuire said last night on his radio show here on Double T 97.3 that he feels great and comfortable with Trey Wolf. He says he's been practicing really well. Felt good about him from 47 to 52 last week, and that even stretched maybe to 55 yards. So again, the problem up there tomorrow, especially in the afternoon, is going to be the wind out of the south. So if you're kicking into the south end zone, it or throwing into it, it is challenging. And I know that we see wind here, so it's just it can really gust. But as they've changed that stadium, I don't know how the wind pattern has changed, and I think it's changed some, but it can gust up there coming off the fields. So just kind of keep that in mind.
I'm curious too. Speaking of the stadium, this will be the second time you've gone into a hostile environment, and they were already gonna be so because they do have tremendous passion up there for their school, yada yada yada. But
it's almost
especially
sold out.
coming off of a big win against Oklahoma, so that place is going to be rocking.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the young guys now because they didn't respond well at North Carolina State. And that's something, there's a lot of things that went wrong against North Carolina State, but if you're looking at just a response to environment, this is something that they're going to have to progress with a young team because you haven't played in a lot of those, and you're going to run into a lot more as the season goes along. So I'm curious to see just composure-wise how much different you look between North Carolina State and Kansas State.
Well, Coach McGuire said last night on his radio show that last series against Texas, and these were his words, we blew the coverage. Now, he did not say that after the game. He did not say that on Monday, okay? So a little more glib last night on his radio show. We blew the coverage, and he said we had bad body language. I got into him. He said they were ready to win before that, and so then they had to kind of get themselves back. But he also said, he repeated this last night, and he said this after the game on Saturday, that he had gotten the captains together on Friday night. Last Friday night, he got the captains together and basically told them, including Donovan Smith and including Krishan Merriweather, big-time players make big-time plays to win big-time games. And it's time for you guys to go win a game. And after the game, Krishan, who had the big hit that basically secured the game for you because it knocks the ball in the hands of Bijan Robinson, and then of course you get the recovery. He said to him basically after the game, Coach, big time players make big time plays to win big time games.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. How did we end up with 2K you guys for Tech Talk? You guys, y'all that are listening right now drew the short straw. Sorry about you.
Who got the long straw?
Brennan, because he gets to be with us.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, all right. That's nice.
There
That's well
you
done.
go. But he also said that Krishan was playing really, really well right now. Now, CJ Ayu, who's the outside linebackers coach, he was on last night, and he said this about Tyree Wilson. He said, Tyree is just getting started. He is still getting comfortable with the season. I think Tyree could be a huge factor in the game tomorrow, especially when it comes to pestering, bothering, tackling, sacking, keeping Adrian Martinez from getting too, quote, comfortable back there.
And that's where it's going to start as far as the unit that's going to have yet another big game, and they've played well all year long, and that's the front seven. And so that's looking at Tyree Wilson, that's looking at Krishan, that's looking at Kosai, it's looking at Hutchings, all of those guys that have played so well this year. Boy, you have to step up to the plate again, because first, to me, again, it starts with Deuce Vaughn in that offense, and he's the one who has killed you the past 2 years. Multiple touchdown games both times, and in big moments. A couple of years ago, y'all remember that 70-yarder with a backup quarterback, Will Howard, that he just streaks down the field. And then last year, the biggest part of that comeback win that ultimately gets you Joey McGuire as your head coach. But it's going to start with containing him with the front seven, and then after you do that, this is to me the perfect game plan: containing Deuce Vaughn and also containing Adrian Martinez's legs, and then you can go get him. But you still have to have that spy, because you saw stuff broke down last week against Oklahoma.
I wonder if you do have the spy. I really do. I really wonder about that. Because if you do that, then there's a portion that's open.
To me, what you're wanting is you're wanting to reach with four guys where you don't have to blitz and have them feel pressure, and then have that fifth guy, whoever that ends up being, because that's a threat back there, and I don't want to play down the threat that Adrian Martinez is. I don't know what the anomaly is just yet, because last week, far and away, you go through his career, that's the best game Adrian Martinez has played as far as through the air and on the ground, and he killed Oklahoma, and there's no doubt, but it's not like he was alone in that, to me.
Yeah. Listen, hey, I'm going to let you have that, because I'm more of an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator kind of guy. So I'm not the defensive coordinator. So if you want to spy away.
I'm going to be shocked if they don't.
You got the sarcasm there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm more the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach.
Right.
That's kind of my and head coach. Head coach / quarterback coach. That's my role, because I want to be able to make the final decision on things. Okay. So if you want to spy away. This from our Tech Talk kidding kind of guy. Nah, I'm just kidding. Unique pairings that don't happen often are fun. Don't let any more Jayhawks in there. I don't think we have any more. I think that 2 is enough. We've got our quota.
I think now Jamie's starting to have that on like the background check. It's just, what's your fandom?
Right, what's your fandom?
Oh, sorry, can't hire you on.
Yeah. Or where'd you go to school, or what you grew up rooting for. But Clint, you're from the southwest portion of the state.
I am.
Yeah, I'm from the eastern part of the state. I'm a suburban kid.
The podcast that finishes your workday in a very Red Raider way. This is the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3.
Hey, good afternoon. It is Tech Talk here on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. Clint and I just get one-day contracts to come up here to the big club and sit at the big desk here for Tech Talk. They did treat us like big leaguers, with all the extra fancy things that come with being the host of Tech Talk. We're in for Aaron Dickens and Mike Gustafson. Brennan's in for Clint, but in that role, Clint is not privy to any of the extra extravagances that are afforded to Mr. Dickens and Dr. Gustafson. So it's a special treat for him today, too, to be sitting here and visiting with y'all, along with me.
It's true. I've already yelled at Brennan twice. Can't get it right. I said, no yellow Skittles. I will be in my trailer, Brennan. No, especially the one from this seat doesn't say that. Maybe the one that usually sits in yours, I could see that.
Yeah. You know what? Tomorrow it'll be a big initiative on Monday, the start of Candy Corn Hate Month. Are you a fan of candy corn, or do you care?
I side with them.
You side with them?
I dislike it with a passion.
Okay, well then that's part of the litmus test of being a full-time member of the Tech Talk team.
That's why they let me stay, actually.
Yeah. How are you on beans and chili?
Oh, I love beans in my chili. I grew up on that.
You know what Dickens calls that, right?
I don't think I do.
Okay.
I know he's not a fan, but
no, I mean he's very adamant that it's meat soup.
Meat soup
is what he calls it. Meat soup. Okay, meat soup.
Yeah, I mean, especially where I grew up, it was beans and chili, and for us, you always had a cinnamon roll for dessert with it.
Really?
That was the go-to.
Okay.
You had cornbread and all the other stuff with it too while you're eating the chili, but you always had a cinnamon roll at the end.
If I said we were having hash for dinner tonight, what would be in your hash?
We actually just had hash earlier this week, and it was potato, sausage, bell peppers.
That's not hash.
That's hash.
It's not hash.
Hash is always a meat potato type combo.
Hash is macaroni, corn, and hamburger with ketchup.
That's goulash.
It's hash.
That's goulash.
It's hash. It's hash.
I would say agree to disagree, but strongly disagree is a better.
Strongly disagreeing on that one. Hash. Hash is. That's what hash is. We've had that argument on the morning drive quite vehemently. You might have even been part of that. So, Mike, the two teams that I care the most about in the college football and basketball world are Texas Tech and KU. Okay? That's no surprise, right? I'm a 30-year season ticket holder of Texas Tech. I graduated from KU almost 40 years ago. So it will be 40 in May. So I've seen way more Tech games in person than I have KU games. But I get it. Those are my roots. So for me, this is a game that I want somebody to win of one of my two teams. And KU's lost 13 in a row going into their game, which will be the day after Thanksgiving in Manhattan. Not feeling too good about that. And Texas Tech has lost 6 straight, 10 of their last 11. And I'm feeling really good, but I can't tell you how many times I felt really good going into this game, including last year, and felt really good at the half. And there was a time here a couple of years ago when my two K-State brothers were in town, and I really thought we were going to win the game. In fact, they thought we were going to win the game. And then the doggone thing goes to overtime, and we lose, and that was in 2017, falling to them 42-35. So let's see. We had gotten this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I don't think it's a coincidence we get the KU guys on a Friday when it's KSU semi-hate week. If anyone can teach us Tech fans how to hate the Wildcats, it's these two. I don't know why the Wildcats down here seem to get a pass. Everybody seems to think that they're really good people. Well, these really good people come in and kick our butts, right?
Yeah,
they've been a problem in men's basketball, too. They've been, frankly, a problem on the women's side, too, although last year we beat them here with their big girl and lost to them up there.
I do think it's funny because it starts out with, to me, even from a rival and someone who hates the university and their sports programs, you have coming off one of the most likable coaches of all time with Bill Snyder.
I have deep respect.
Right?
I mean, I don't like what he did there, but I respect what he did there because they were on the verge of dropping football before he went there.
And I think it's carried over because Chris Kleinman, like I said, was Weasley last year. Weasley with the media. He was when he was on the hot seat. And then Bruce Weber, what a joke. I mean, he's easily hateable. I don't understand if the people that do like him are neutral. Yeah, there you go.
The gyrations on the
That's what
sideline
I
just
wanted.
won't stop talking.
That's what I wanted. I enjoy your Bruce Weber immensely, and it's accurate. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't get
why we're so
it's not
kind to
fair,
them.
but it's the free pass that I don't get.
It is the
and
free
you mentioned
pass.
part of sports hate is because teams own you, and Kansas State has owned you this decade.
Owned you
in times and games that they shouldn't have.
Quit being nice to Weird Robert when he comes down here. I mean, if you are listening on the Double T 97.3 mobile app presented by Happy State Bank and you're in Manhattan and you go to Kites tonight, you won't see Weird Robert tonight, okay? Mm-hmm. You won't see Weird Robert tomorrow morning at the Varsity Donut, but you'll see Weird Robert tomorrow. He'll be the old man with the faded purple K-State cap with the foam finger, #1, and he'll go flail it in your face. That dude, he was old in 1982, okay? I seriously remember him from college.
Yeah, you see this again. The free pass comes from respect towards Bill Snyder. He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
He's not there anymore.
He's not there anymore. And I get it. You respect him. I understand it. He's a nice gentleman. I remember the first time that I met Coach Snyder was at a Big 12 Media Days function. Mm-hmm. He seriously looked like an older, elderly gentleman that had just come from a funeral, okay? And actually, I wasn't the first time I met him. I think I met him at Spike Dykes' after Spike's funeral here at the at Supermarkets Arena. Coach Snyder came and paid his respects to Spike's family, which was extremely gracious of him. Mm-hmm. But I remember meeting him in Dallas and shaking his hand. It was like, I just felt like I just met a man that had just buried his best friend, and he was in his nice blue suit, and he shook my hand, and wasn't a very strong grip because he's an old man. And then he proceeds to kick our butts.
Mm-hmm. I think that's my issue too. Like, I understand, and you're not going to have the same hate that you do for Texas, for TCU.
Yeah,
I get it,
that.
but it's the getting beat at times you should, and like, oh well, hope you guys have a safe drive back to Manhattan. Have a nice trip back to Kansas. Really enjoyed losing that one.
Yeah, really enjoyed getting our butts kicked by you guys. How's that wheat doing?
Yeah. Shake your hand on the way out. See you later.
What's the difference between a wheat thing and a gin thing?
That's the part that I don't. I'm not saying that they got to jump up to the top of the hate list in the Big 12, but they have owned you.
They get all these wheat-fed farm boys from Podunk, Kansas, that has got a John Deere dealership and a Ford house. Because I've been in most of these small towns, doing high school football games, going through. Sure. I mean, they got a kid from Cimarron. I've been to Cimarron. Mm-hmm.
I'm riled up for tomorrow, man.
He has stopped it several times at our tailgate. Nice guy. Do we have an age for that dude? Like 1,000,000 years old.
BC. Just put that number with it.
I'm telling you, in 1982, he was old. This is 2022. He's older, but he looks the same. They don't call him Weird Robert for nothing. Guy is strange as a cucumber.
You've been listening to the Tech Talk Podcast from Double T 97.3. Check out Double T973.com for more from Lubbock Sports Station.